Welcome into Greg and Tommy's dynamic duo, tip ins, extra yardage. Names are still up for debate, but one thing we are is we're sponsored by Johnny T-shirt. It is Monday, December the 8th. I'm Tommy. That's Greg. Greg, let's talk about this weekend. What a wild weekend for college football, and what a wild way for it to end until the playoff starts at noon on Sunday. The ACC sneaks in. The ACC champion does not sneak in. Notre Dame is left out. Notre Dame says, screw the bowls. Chaos. They wanted chaos. They got chaos. Greg, your thoughts on it?
Well, number one, and this kind of speaks to the media component of all this. Not to blame the media, but to set the stage, right? Um, Whenever they do these, let me start here. Go all the way back to summertime when we have that ACC kickoff. And basically, ACC officials are begging people in attendance to fill out the preseason projections. Why does that matter? It matters because it's late July and the league is trying desperately to get content out there about the league. And I think it's been proven that the best way to do that time of year is predictions. And everybody likes to look at them, everybody likes to critique them, all those things. That's a big part of it. It's just a content push. That's it. It doesn't mean they mean anything, because a lot of people just kind of scribble down whatever they think in 5 minutes, and that's that. Postseason matters a little bit more in terms of all ACC teams and those kind of things. But it drives eyeballs. And so when the college football playoff starts doing their Tuesday night deal, it's for eyeballs. And the important part of this, NCAA tournament does the same thing where they start releasing, their top 16 at noon on Saturday, starting a month or two out. But you're just trying to generate excitement and talking points. You want college football playoff to be a hot topic, in October. But it really doesn't matter what the rankings are right then, because it's a snapshot in time. And I think that's where some of the frustration has come from, especially from the Notre Dame side, is that when you finally get to the final day, where you were ranked last week, it doesn't matter. This is kind of where you were at that point in time. But seeing everything kind of play out the way it did, and then you end up with Notre Dame and Miami side by side. Well, there's a real easy way to grade those two. Did they play? Yes, they did. Who won? Miami won. Check. It's pretty simple. And so I think the buildup of each week really kind of played a role in this, and people kind of thinking, well, Notre Dame's certainly in. Miami didn't have a chance. And I think this is just further proof that's not the case. It really only matters on that last day, whenever the committee has got all the information that they can get and they're ready to make their decision.
Notre Dame wanted everybody to remember the past, but not quite that far back. Not back to when they lost to Miami, to your point. Just remember the last 30 days, not the last 90 days or whatever. Just craziness. James Madison in, Tulane in. James Madison goes to Oregon. Tulane goes to Ole Miss in a rematch of a game that they played already. And Ole Miss won, 45-10. So it's going to be an interesting college football playoffs. I know one thing. We'll all be watching. That's what everybody does, and that's what they want. Greg, what does it mean for the ACC, though, given what happened? And I'll freely admit, it may be heresy on these boards, but I freely admit I wanted Duke to beat Virginia because I wanted to see what would happen. I wanted to see Manny Diaz make a case for his team to be in the college football playoff, and he did. But what does it mean for the ACC? Luckily, Miami gets in. The year that Miami didn't win the conference, they actually get further than they've ever gotten. But this league, it seems like it is limping along even more so now. Your take on it, because your conference champion didn't get in behind James Madison and Tulane. That's a bad look.
Yeah. And you've got so many teams in the league now. There's no way to have a balanced schedule. And so teams are going to do what Virginia and Duke did, and whoever gets hot is going to be able to get to the championship game. I mean, the fact that Duke was 7-5, granted, 3 of those losses were non-conference, But the fact that a team with that kind of record was able to get in speaks to the challenge that the ACC has on its hands. It's not just the ACC; the other leagues kind of have the same issue as well. However, when you don't have a stalwart, when you don't have a Indiana or Ohio State, when you don't have a Georgia, or even Ole Miss, although Ole Miss didn't get into the SEC championship game, um, it becomes challenging because Miami. I think we can all agree Miami is the best team in the league, and they ended up getting into the playoff. But they just sat at home this past weekend. They had no control over their future due to how the schedule fell. And so for the ACC, when you look at the coming changes with the college football playoff and starting for next year, the Big Ten and the SEC are each going to get roughly $21 million per member institution. The ACC is at $13 million. The Big 12 is at $12 million. So just there, you're talking about what's that $8 million difference between SEC and Big Ten and ACC schools, on top of what already exists as a pretty big financial revenue gap. So the issue for the ACC is continuing to figure out ways to close that gap. And we've talked about it a lot over the years, Tommy. It just gradually keeps growing and growing. And it's been tighter than I thought it would be the last 2 years, but it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And so the ACC has to find a way, and I don't know how they're going to do it, to close that gap, because what you see is what you're going to get. Just, not teams that are elite. It's teams that are just a step below. The best teams are a step below. And then most of the teams are just average at best. And that's one of the frustrating things, I think, from a Carolina perspective is, with Belichick coming in this year, the opportunity was there. We knew Miami would be good. We thought Clemson would be good. That didn't happen. And Virginia and Duke, who North Carolina probably should have beat both of those teams, end up playing for the ACC. So that's a problem. The other thing I want to say is, about Notre Dame. I know there's some people kind of up in arms that they're bowing out of the bowl game. I think that was inevitable. I think that with the college football playoff expanding to 12 teams, and it'll probably expand to 16 in a few years, it completely takes the onus off of these secondary bowl games. They went from thinking they were going to be in the CFP to being what now, like the Gator Bowl? Like, Notre Dame fans don't care about that. Nobody does. And so, not that the bowl games were fantastic before, but they just really take a step back if you think that you're a legitimate top 20 type program.
Yeah, when you look around, there's teams bowing out of bowl games not named Notre Dame. Of course, they're going to suck all the oxygen out of the air, and you're going to hear about them. There's other teams that have bowed out as well. Florida State bowed out as well, and they were 5-7, and they got an offer. And who knows? It's unbelievable, the chaos in college football. And for folks that long for the day of divisions in the ACC, if they'd had divisions, and this is the funny argument, Greg, about everybody would say the Atlantic is better than the Coastal. Virginia, Coastal. Duke, Coastal. Miami, Coastal. Georgia Tech, Coastal. SMU, probably Coastal. Definitely not the Atlantic Division, right? Pitt, Coastal. You have to go all the way down to Louisville, a 4-4 ACC team, and 8-4 overall that would have played in the ACC championship against Virginia. There's no way around it. The ACC is bad. Greg, probably could save this for tomorrow, but let's tease tomorrow's show. What does it mean for North Carolina to see a team like Duke get to the ACC championship, win an ACC championship? What's it mean for Bill Belichick and his runway? I think this is something we can flesh out all week, but it's certainly something that folks need to think about.
Well, number one is quarterback investment, but it's also that there's opportunity. And so, yes, it's your rival, which will put fire under your rear end. But it just shows that Duke did just enough to get into the ACC championship game and win it. And so the benefit of not having Ohio State and Indiana in your conference is that there's a chance. And you don't have to be elite to have a chance in this league.
You're saying there's a chance. I ask on the message board, and it's been a huge thread, and folks have commented, what's worth it? What money is worth it? I would say that Duke's expense to pay their quarterback, what they've paid him, was well worth it for Duke University. They're the ACC champs. Now, that makes folks around these parts sick to their stomachs, and it should, because as Greg mentioned, there's an opportunity. There's been golden opportunities. We'll touch on those the rest of the week. Shout out to Greg. Shout out to Johnny T-Shirt. Continue to drop name suggestions on the message boards. We'll get it figured out. But right now, it's mini next levels. We'll be back. And mini as in MINI, next levels. We'll be back with real ones. We'll be back tomorrow. Greg, appreciate it.